So I've just been out for lunch with my dad and my granddad, and we've been having quite a good discussion, and I wanted to bring that discussion to you guys as well because it's fascinating. My dad started by asking the question, what event or invention has had the most significant effect on your life personally? And he said to exclude anything related to family, such as marrying a particular person or, a child being born, or personal events, but things on a broader scale that have had a big impact on you. So to give you an example, my granddad said that television changed his life. And he said that it was because, information was more readily available, you got the news on a daily basis, you could visually see some of the people you've been hearing on the radio and things like that. And that had a big effect on him personally because it made his world seem wider. My dad actually said the Apollo 11 moon landings, and he said for a wide range of reasons. Obviously the historical significance of it is huge. But he also said it had an effect on him as an individual. And to be honest with you, I think it's not a huge surprise considering that he did end up going to do a degree in physics, and then he became a physics teacher, and then he became an IT teacher. So it's all relating to technological advancement. And it did have a big impact on his life. In fact, his second answer was computers. But it's got me thinking, about what my answer to this question is. And of course, I would love to know what your answer to this question is. Leave it in the comments. I'd absolutely love to know which inventions and events have had big effects on you. So I thought about it when I was sat there, and I thought about lots of events and inventions that have happened in my lifetime. And it did actually take me a while to come to this conclusion. And I concluded that the invention that has had the most significant effect on my life was GarageBand. Now stay with me on this one, because I genuinely do think it has had a huge impact on my life. Now if you can, I'd like you to cast your memory back to 2004, particularly the start of the summer holidays. There were two things that happened to me as soon as I finished school that had a huge effect on my life. The first of which was School of Rock was released on DVD. Now when I went to see it in the cinema, I was like, oh, this is a cool film, it's quite fun. But when I saw School of Rock for the second time on DVD, it changed my life because it made me want to pick up an electric guitar. And it was at that point that I actually started teaching myself to play. I'd played piano until that point, but I had no idea that that whole world of electric guitar existed. Coincidentally, in that summer, Apple released GarageBand. I remember my dad came home from work, he'd had it installed on his laptop because it had come free with iLife, which came with like iMovie and things like that. And again, iMovie had been released a few years ago and people had started to edit videos, and they weren't having to go into professional editing studios in order to do that. They could make their home movies look great. So my dad took me to one side and he said, this could be really good for you because what it'll allow you to do is record several things at once. And at the time I didn't really know what that meant. So I'd obviously got used to playing piano on my own, and I was playing a little bit of guitar, and I didn't really know what he meant by that. And he sort of started to tell me about what he'd done when he was younger, and he'd actually used like 4-track tape recorders to actually overlay things. So you record your acoustic guitar, and then you might record a bit of bass, and then you might record you singing, and you'd obviously be able to adjust the volume on each of the tracks. And I thought, all right, fair enough, that sounds quite cool, I'll give it a go. And it didn't seem that significant at the time, but looking back, that's when I started writing songs, because what I'd do is I'd play in a few chords on the piano, and then maybe I'd plug in the guitar and I'd start playing. I'd think, oh, what goes with this? And then I'd think, oh, well, maybe I could, hum a little tune over this. And before I knew it, I was actually writing little demos of songs. Now this is my 2007 80GB iPod Classic. And this is the only way I have access to all of my old music, because I lost all of the GarageBand files. So I have some of the older mixes from all those years ago, and this will definitely help me to remember some of the tracks that I've forgotten the names of. But as you can probably see, I haven't actually used this in a very long time, so it does need to charge for a bit. So in the meantime, I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea. So I've just realised I'm not actually gonna be able to play these back through the iPod. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find them on here, and then search for them on the computer and hope that they're still here. So I'm trying to find one of the first songs that I wrote using GarageBand, and it was a song called Think About It, which ended up being a song with my band The Local Heroes. And I wrote it as a little demo on GarageBand, and I put like the drum loop underneath it, and I'm sure it's on here somewhere. This was the first original thing that I overtracked using GarageBand. You could probably hear the chord sequence underneath it, and like me just trying to work out which parts would actually work on top of it. And that we did end up playing that song, we ended up recording it properly. And I will show you that at some point, but that's not what today's about. Today is about these early demos. Let's see what else we've got. This. I just remember it all really clearly. It's so hard to forget these early songs that you write, and again, I was just able to sit there with an electric guitar, plug it in, hammer out the chords, and then work out those little counter melodies around it. And I just wouldn't have been able to do that without that technology. I'll tell you, I'll give you one more. This is the original demo from 2009 when I was definitely still using GarageBand to produce these demos for my band. And this was just before we stopped playing with each other. And this was a song called Who Got the Girl in the End. And this ended up being a song with my band Otter's Pocket. And we did actually record a proper version of this, but this was the original demo. It really didn't actually change that much from the demo to the end product, and I will put the link to the album that's on in the description so you can hear the finished version of it. I think that's enough reminiscing for today, but as you can probably hear, this early experimentation with GarageBand is really what got me to where I am now with my production and my songwriting. These were the beginnings of what I do now. And I would absolutely love to know what your answer to that question is. I'd love to know what invention or event has influenced your life the most. Just drop it in the comments. But in the meantime, I think that'll do for today, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Take some time, put your mind to sit down.